for attracting UFOs. The Pentagon's method. Yeah.
Haven't they used nukes to try to like bait the UFOs in?
Yeah, so that's one of the really fascinating things that my
what?
interview subject shared.
Haven't they used nukes to try to like bait the UFOs in?
Yeah,
Nope.
so that's one of the really fascinating things that my interview subject shared. And a long time ago, they realized folks involved in covering this up in the legacy program and in other, areas like the Navy, they learned that nuclear footprints attract these things. They're paying attention to our nuclear progress and to what we do with nuclear technology, and so they started creating environments that would attract UAP and lure them in.
They're not paying attention. They're trying to be like, hey, what the hell y'all doing down there? Y'all stop that shit. You trying goddamn nuke and stuff. See, parenting has been around for a long time. Currently, the Ebens are parenting us because sometimes we get a little cranky, and sometimes we want to press the nuke button and be like, wham, wham, wham. We want attention, and the Ebens be like, hey, let's just don't stop that right now. Don't do that. Don't just be watching us. They're managing us.
And then they could collect data and get information that would help them in their technology race. I do believe that my understanding is some lines were crossed where they also caused some of these crashes. They would lure them in and they would create circumstances that would cause some crashes, which seems like a pretty risky decision. But at the same time, I think my understanding is that adversarial nations have done this and do this, so if we don't do it, then we would fall behind. Again, one of those like.
My thing is, what information would they gather for us to help them better their technology when their technology is like a million years more advanced than ours? This is a serious question. Is it for but I'm thinking what study purposes? Trying to figure out our habitat, trying to figure out our nature of living. Because what technology could we offer them to better theirs? I'm just serious question. Let me know in the comments if you know.
Examples of this being a super complicated situation, sort of damned if you do, damned if you don't in any part of this whole conversation.
Right.
And I found that fascinating. Interestingly, I just learned through some of my relationships in the government right now that some of the intelligence officials who have been tasked with identifying what evidence can be lawfully disclosed following President Trump's directive, some of them learned that various agencies and branches of the military had been luring these things in the past, and that they had figured out how to do that. And these intelligence officials asked for a demonstration of that as recent as a couple weeks ago, and apparently saw with their own eyes.
A couple weeks ago. When did this video drop? A couple weeks ago. They're real. They're real. Oh wow. This is gold.
Eyes, UAP. I was told this in confidence by a couple people within the last couple weeks, and then interestingly, Congressman Burleson, who also had learned this, shared it on a podcast, I think last week, a few days ago, that he had heard the same thing.
Shout out Congressman Burleson, man. Shout out Congressman. Yeah.
True. Pretty shocking.
Who were they showing this to?
So it was some of the intelligence officials tasked by a member of the current cabinet to uncover evidence that can be declassified.
Who are the intelligent officials? Are we talking about CIA intelligent officials or intelligent officials? Like, who are intelligent officials?
Trump gives a directive. We
Yep.
need to identify what evidence exists that can be declassified, right? So then he tells certain cabinet members, get on that, right? And then they have their teams go and shake those trees. And in that process, apparently, some of them were given a demonstration on how UAP can be lured in.
On how to lure them in.
Yeah, and apparently saw it with their own eyes, which was a game changer.
And Burleson said this on a podcast.
Yeah, I had heard this from multiple sources prior to Burleson saying it on a podcast.
Recently.
Yeah, within the last couple weeks.
Wow.
And then it was 3 or 4 days ago, Congressman Burleson said it on a podcast. I was just going to keep it to myself, but then he brought it up. So there you go. It's interesting.
Shout out Congressman Burleson, man.
How were they
If
luring
that's
them?
true, if that really happened, it's a pretty
Is this the psionic stuff?
incredible escalation. I honestly don't know how they actually did it. In the people I've talked to,
I'm sure you know
such as
people who know.
Jay Stratton, have told me that in the past nuclear footprints were used. So you could put a nuclear submarine in a certain area, and nearby it, you could put another vessel with a nuclear weapon on it, and that footprint will attract them.
So basically, anything nuclear is gonna attract them. That don't mean go out there if you got some nuclear stuff inside. I don't know if the public has access to nuclear. That's crazy. And if you do, you shouldn't tell no damn buddy. You shouldn't even have nuclear. What the hell you doing? You trying to contact the aliens, aren't you? But yeah, so basically, nuclear. Nuclear is the only way to contact aliens. Forcefully. But if they want to contact you, they'll contact you. They don't need nuclear to contact you. I think, like I said, I think when we bring up the nuclear, it's like, hey, the hell y'all doing down there? Stop that shit now, like a parent.
Whoa.
Yeah. So actually, something that your listeners will find fascinating. So Jay actually has a big memoir coming out later this year, Jay Stratton, and it's his tell-all book about his journey down this rabbit hole and investigating UAP and non-human intelligent life for 16 years, and he goes into a lot of detail on this stuff and the learnings that he and his colleagues had about how these things could be lured in, and how
Nuclears,
elements of our government and other governments have been doing it.
they gonna fuck around, blow this bitch up trying to contact aliens. Y'all better leave that nuclear shit alone. The hell wrong with y'all?
Did they ever talk to you about, or did he ever mention, or anyone ever mention any of this psionic stuff?
No, I've like you, I've seen other people talk about it online and stuff, but no one ever talked to me about that.
You never heard anything about that.
What have you found to be the most interesting about it?
There was a guy, Michael Herrera, who was one of the whistleblowers who came out, I forget how long ago it was. I want to say the 90s maybe. I could be wrong. Could be in the 2000s. Who said that he was working in the military somewhere in the remote jungles of Indonesia or something.
Yeah, I remember that.
Remember? And there was like an earthquake, a humanitarian crisis where they were rescuing people, but what they were really doing is taking these like indigenous people, children, kidnapping them, and then like all of a sudden like these like fucking crazy looking ships showed up, like these fucking like almost human made crafts, like UFOs, and they were loading these people onto them.
Wow.
And taking them away, and what I guess he learned, or what we eventually learned through other whistleblowers, is that they were using these people who were sort of like not indoctrinated into Western society, into the technological world that we live in here. People that are more tied to nature, younger people. They were even finding people who were left-handed or gay.
I'm left-handed. Dun-dun!
And something about them
Hmm.
was enabling them to tap into something where they could use their minds to consciously control the UFOs.
Wow.
I can control the UFOs because I'm left-handed. Oh shit! Oh shit!
Sounds crazy. There was a guy that Jesse Michaels had on his podcast who was, I forget his
Now let me stop playing because if I really do have some powers, with my left hand, I'm not trying to take advantage. Nordics, aliens, Ebens, please help me show me how to use my left hands. If we really like that, I don't know. Maybe that is why. Maybe that is why.
name now, but he worked for some private company or whatever. And he said that he was there to red team Michael Herrera when he did his press thing. And he said he was going in there as like counter intel to like find out who was spilling the secrets. And then when he heard Michael Herrera give that testimony, this guy realized, he goes, holy shit, I was there. I was a part of that team that was doing that. I was one of the guys that he fucking saw. And then I guess his story was like that, like made him want to tell his story and like switch teams. And then that's like the whole, that's as far
That boy had deja vu. He said, "What the, my boy? Nah, I got fuck my boy, man. I'm staying with my boy."
as what I'm aware of.
I don't know anything about that particular event.
No, that was not Ross Coulthard. That was a different guy that Jesse Michaels had on.
I don't know about that particular event in the jungle, other than what I've read online
Yeah.
once Michael started sharing that. But I have heard about. I have heard that there are people who have the ability to communicate using the power of their mind. And I know that probably is like the most wacky sounding thing.
Of course. Well, it ain't the wacky sound, but most common sound, of course.
Not at all.
Your listeners are.
Have you seen my library?
I know, but there's certainly going to be some of your listeners who are like, man, that guy's out of his mind, But this is what I've been told by super serious people. There are a bunch of there's a bunch of really grounded, not a bunch, that's the stupidest way to say it. There's a lot of data that shows that this is a real area of inquiry. So if you get out of the UAP topic for a second, so Stargate, it's a real program that really existed. There is so much evidence of it that's been declassified. Dr. Hal Puthoff, who's in my film, who's very involved in the UAP topic, he ran Stargate. He was tasked with building Stargate. And what Stargate was a program that identified people who have psychic abilities. And they trained them to use their mind's eye to wander to remote locations and to be able to do what's called remote viewing, to see a location remotely.
Oh, so run that back to me again.
And Stargate. He was tasked with building Stargate. And what Stargate was a program that identified people who have psychic abilities. And they trained them to use their mind's eye to wander to remote locations and to be able to do what's called remote viewing, to see a location remotely.
We need Stargate. I need Stargate back. I need to put an application in for Stargate. Like, where's Stargate? Can someone point me in the direction of Stargate? Absolutely. Because, obviously, I don't know how to use mind junk quick enough. So where is Stargate, y'all? We need Stargate. Stargate is the school. Nah, forget college. Forget Harvard. We need to go to Stargate University. You hear me? Stargate. Where is Stargate?
It sounds crazy, right? It just sounds completely bananas. But that was a real program that our government funded. The CIA and DARPA and the Department of Defense funded that for years. And they got actionable intelligence out of it. This is something that Joe Rogan and I talked about this for a while. There's even There's even recordings of past presidents talking about this as a valid thing. Jimmy Carter made a couple statements on it before he died, saying that the military actually acted on intelligence that the remote viewers gave, and it worked. They used it. He famously gave a quote about a remote viewer being used to find a missing airplane, a crashed fighter jet that had fallen off radar.
Yeah.
And
So they don't call them telepathic. They call them remote viewers. Well, just okay. So this is what I'm taking, in my opinion. They're manipulating the power of telepathy with something called remote viewing. But telepathy is real, I believe. But we as a society or the government created something similar, a generic version to telepathy called remote viewing. Am I getting that right? I think I'm getting that right.
so there's all this data out there that's indisputable that program existed. It was real. There's a there, right? It's a real situation. And so it's not the craziest leap to go from accepting that remote viewing is a real thing, even though it's hard to understand and hard to wrap your head around, to thinking that maybe people who have those abilities can also communicate from a distance with non-human life. There are people who have told me that is a thing, that there are people who have the ability to do that, and that it's referred to as space intelligence communications.
If you enjoy watching our show on